Okay, so I want to take a look at the polar lights, USS Enterprise in 1/1000 scale. Now I've had this for a while, and I actually purchased it like this. It was all crushed up and damaged, so it wasn't as expensive. So I want to open it up and I want to show you guys the significance of this kit, because this is actually the 2003 release. And if I'm not mistaken, this is actually the one that started it all. Remember, up until this point, we had the AMT Enterprise, the 18-inch USS Enterprise, and a lot of people were saying that that one was not accurate to the screen of the filming model. And the polar lights had the 1/350 scale Enterprise refit. But remember, the NCC-1701 Enterprise was not released yet, and we didn't have an option for the filming model accurate kit like this one. So this one came out in 2003. So we were introduced to the USS Enterprise in 1/1000 scale. Now later on, they would release the 1/350 scale of the Enterprise, which just to me to this day is the Super Bowl of the Enterprise models. But this one started it all for 1/1000 scale. So we're going to take a look at it. You can see it's got over 50 pieces. And this one is marketed as a 3-in-1 snap-together plastic assembly kit. You can see no paint or glue needed, over over 50 pieces. And this is the beautiful Enterprise as she's firing her phasers on the box cover. If you look at the side, you can see more. You can see the Enterprise, basically the same thing that's on the front, both sides of the box. The other side has a little bit crushed, so excuse me. You can see this is model number 04200 and released in 2003. And at the ends of the box, it's more of the same 3-in-1 snap kit. And on the back, I love that Round 2 had done this, and basically this started it, where we look at the back of the bottom of the box for more information and graphics. You can see, you can do it in 3 pieces. So this actually is the first kit of the Enterprise where you can actually do 3 different versions. You can do the pilot, first pilot, you can do the second pilot, and you can do the production version. Build your choice of 3 starships with this kit. This kit contains all the necessary graphics to replicate the USS Enterprise NCC-1701 starships from the first and second television pilot episodes and the original 1966 television series. Also included are graphics to build 3 additional Constitution-class sister ships, the Constellation, the Defiant, and the Exeter. Also, I might add, you can also do the I.S.S. Enterprise, so you can actually do 4. And they don't have the I.S.S. Enterprise pictured. You can see on this side, we've got Space, the Final Frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its continuing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before. Polar Lights introduces the USS Enterprise NCC-1701 snap-together model kit with more than 50 highly detailed pieces. These are exact replicas of the original Starship Enterprise. And you can see it's in different languages as we move on. You can see a beautiful picture of the ship, or illustration. So let's go ahead and we're going to open it up. And this is it's close to a vintage kit because this is 2003, and as of this filming, it's 2024. So let's open it up, and I just love opening up Enterprise kits, Star Trek kits for the first time. So let's take off the plastic wrap. Love it. Nice. Okay, So another way to tell the original release is the whole box itself does not come up off the bottom section. It actually flips open. See how it kind of flips back to reveal the parts inside? And looking at that awesome box art on the inner part, you can see the bridge crew. We've got Mr. Scott, Dr. McCoy, Mr. Chekhov, Nurse Chapel, Captain Kirk, Lieutenant Uhura, Mr. Spock, and Mr. Sulu. And the other sides just have the space. So, okay, we open it up and you can see there are a bunch of different parts for different versions of the ship. First thing you can see is that the nacelles have two different sets. One of them has a little hole in it where the antenna is going to protrude. Actually, let me just take it out of the plastic wrap to be able to show you a little bit better. So there are a couple of different things. We've got the little holes on the Bussard collectors for the first two pilot episodes where the antennas are going to protrude from. And then you can see the Bussard collectors on the right that are solid for the production run, and these are actually going to be lit on a studio model. Another thing you may notice is we have the bridges. The production series bridge was smaller and it wasn't as wide, where the bridge and B deck were larger on the pilot versions of the ship. And moving down, you can see more of the inner workings of the Bussard collectors, because we've got the ones that are going to be lit for the production series, and we've got the ones with the little hole for the antenna to come through. And you can see the two different sensor domes for the bottom of the primary hull. And that's the clear parts tree. So when we look at the next parts tree, you can see this is before they had those the dome base with the metal support rods that Polar Lights has been known for. This actually had a stand. You can see it's the Delta insignia, and it's got this little arm. Now this is going to go into there, and the ship is going to be mounted onto the top. So it's going to have its own kind of a stand, which is pretty cool. It's a cool display. But of course now, a lot of the models from round 2 has the base with the metal support rod, and I don't know if they have plans to re-release this kit or not, but it'll be interesting to see if they do down the line. You can see the impulse engines. Now they may have been different for the first 2 different ships as opposed to the production run, but they're going to be decals that'll make the impulse deck different. And you can see this is going to go above the impulse deck at the back of the primary hull. I think this is going to be for the deflector dish, and the deflector dish itself, you can see this one actually, I don't know if this is going to be the larger one or the smaller one, but there were 2 different sizes for the deflector dish. For the first 2 pilot episodes, they were much larger than the production series. Again, you can see the backs of the nacelles now. You can see the backs of the nacelle caps, the end caps, and we've got the first 2 pilot versions of the ship. We've got the little holes that are punched through, and we have the kind of a rectangle going down the center. And when they went for the production run, they actually have the ends that have the holes because they had these little round dome-like structures protruding through the back. And lastly, you can see the hangar bay. The first 2 pilots didn't really have, it was smooth, whereas the production series, you can see it actually had ridges where you could see what it would open up. Let's see, the second tree, before I show you that, look, it must have come off the hinges or the tree, because this one is a little bit larger. You can can see this is the larger one, the larger deflector dish for the first two pilot ships. All right, and this is going to be for the nacelles. They've got those like intercoolers that are on the sides, in the front and on the back. And there's one section that has them. I think it's in the chiller grills. I think that would be the ones with the little protruding piece that's going to go forward. We also have a different piece for the top of the impulse deck. And those antennas that I was speaking of, that's what these are. And these are actually going to protrude through the center of the Bussard collectors. So let's see. The last bag we have has a lot of parts in it. Remember, because it's for 3 different ships. So we've got a lot of, let's do the nacelles first, because there's so many of them. And the nacelles aren't on a tree. They're actually on their own. Alright, I think that, like I said, there's a lot of them. Alright, so what's left? Okay. So when it comes to the total pieces of the nacelles, we've got 2, 4, 6, we've got 8 pieces. So we would be able to make 4 different nacelles. And let's see if we can check out some of the differences. You can see what I was talking about on the chiller grill. You have that piece of the cooler, the intercooler, that's going to be coming out of that. And that would be the interior part of the nacelle. This is the same thing, and that would be the inner part. This will be the outer part on one. You can tell because it's nice and smooth, and that's where the registry markings will go, with the cooler at the end, or the little grill. Let's see, this one looks like this is another inner part of the nacelle. You can see the chiller grill right there, so this would be the starboard side. You can see the outer smoother part, so this would be the port side. And there's another variation, the inner chiller grill, and this would be the inner part of the starboard side nacelle. Then we have the outer part for the starboard side. And let's see, this might be the outer part for the port side. So we get enough pieces of the nacelles where you could actually have extra that come with the kit. So moving on, let's take a look at, while we're talking about the nacelles, I want to show you guys, are these on the tree? One of them is still on a tree and one of them is off. So when it comes to the nacelle pylons, they have these little V's. And what they do is, the V's go together. Let's see if I can get this. There's a little pin where it goes, we clamp it, and once they're together, this will go on the back of the ship. And these go in to the backs of the nacelles, and this would be really really sturdy, so you wouldn't have to worry about them drooping over time or anything. And if you want to wire them, it'd be a good idea to run the wires through, bring it down together. You might want to put a little channel depending on the size of the wires. We're moving on to the secondary hull. You can see the nice and smooth. They do not have the moldings for the windows, but they do have the decals for that, and we'll get to that later. You can see this is actually the port side. You can see where the housing is going to be for the deflector dish, and the saucer pylon where that blue section is going to be. can see the observation deck on top of the shuttle bay area. And on the other side, we have the starboard side of the Enterprise hull, secondary hull, as well as the deflector dish housing. Beautiful. Okay, let's see. Lastly, we'll look at one of the most important parts of the Starship is the primary hull. So let's show you the top half first. You can see where the impulse deck, that structure over the impulse deck housing is going to go. And we have the lights. Actually, did I overlook those and the clear parts? I did. My apologies. See, it's one piece, but they're actually going to come out the top and the bottom. So let me see if I can see it right through. So if you want to light it, we would paint red or green, or port and starboard, and then we would light these directly up against the light, and they would carry the light through to the beacons, the navigation beacons. So you can see where the bridge is going to go, and you can see B and C decks. And on the inside, you can see Polar Lights. And this is Polar Lights 2003, Playing Mantis Incorporated, Mishawaka, Indiana. So that's the top. And lastly, for the parts, we have the bottom. You can see where the sections are going to come together, and it's snapped, so you don't have to glue it. You can see the openings where the beacons are going to go through, the clear beacons. And we take a look at the landing gear for the bottom of the saucer section, and you can see there's a light that's going to protrude in the front, but they actually have a little piece of plastic. And you can see in the pilots, or in the introduction, the navigation beacons are actually pushed back. They're not actually there. So as it goes by, you can tell the lights are in the back. It's pretty noticeable. And they actually have writing on the outer part. It says Star Trek 2003 Paramount Pictures. I don't know why they couldn't have put this on the inside. But those are the parts. So there's a lot of parts here for the ship. Like I said, we can do 4 different versions. We can do the first pilot, the second pilot, we can do the production series, and we can do the beautiful I.S.S. Enterprise. Looking in, let's see, we have some, all right. First thing, we've got the unusually fun model kits. It's like a Polar Lights little catalog. You can see the beautiful Enterprise. And I love it. Homer, I didn't know they did Homer Simpson or the Simpsons model kits. And you can see the NX-01, the Enterprise. So let's take a look and see what this is about. You can see the Enterprise. There's a snap kit from Polar Lights. You can see they got the NX-01 as well. They got the Spider-Man, the Hulk. Oh, I love it. Look at the Scooby-Doo, the Mystery Machine. And oh, they got the car. I love it. You remember when Homer's brother, he finds out he's got a brother and he's the president of a car company, and Homer makes this car and puts him out of business? I love it. That's really cool. Maybe that'd be something we could do for a future project. All right. Let's see. It opens up, or it goes to another page. Yeah, it doesn't open up. We've got the Bat Plane, the Bat Boat, the Bat Cycle, Johnny Lightning die cast. And you can see, if this looks different, I think it's because this is actually the way the comic book version of the Batmobile looked. You can see the other things. Is that it, or is there another page? We got Ghostbusters. That would be a fun project. You can see the Back to the Future car, Land of the Giants. We've got the Seaview, Speed Racer, the Godzilla, and look, they got the Jetsons too. That's pretty cool. And they have the Snapdragons. So they got some pretty fun kits. Of course, my favorites are the Star Trek kits. Okay, so let's put that aside and let's take a look at the decal sheet, because they have a few firsts in here as well for the decals. So let's open this up. First thing is we've got decal sheets, but these are actually sticker sheets. These are not water slide decals, these are actually peel and stick, which is pretty cool, because if you're going to do a kit right out of the box, let's say you don't want to do the, let's say you just want to make it, it's a rainy day, you get the Enterprise, you're a Star Trek fan, and the box says snap together, all you got to do is snap the pieces. So what's easier than just taking off the stickers, putting it on? It kind of reminds me of the way the Playmate ships were back in the day, where they would come with a small sticker sheet. But you can see we have the I.S.S. Enterprise. We've got the USS Constellation, the Defiant, the Exeter, and of course the NCC-1701. We got the Enterprise, and depending on what version you're going to do, there are these, all corners of the tops of the primary hull actually had like a rectangle panel that was lit up white. That was the production series. You can see the different impulse engines, and then we have the different versions. Now you got the stickers that portray the windows as off, and coming over to this one, you've got the sticker sheet where you can also put the stickers on. They have some of the windows lit up, which is a pretty cool option. And of course you can see those really cool daggers for the I.S.S. Enterprise. I'm going to go on the bottom of the ship for the I.S.S. The Halkins are going to have a really bad day. And you can see the sides, the secondary hull. This section has all the windows off, and this one has some of the metal lit. So this is a really cool option. So now, if you want to do a little more, put a little more effort into the model kit, you can glue it, you can sand it smooth, you can paint it, or you can even light it. And then we have the water slide decals, and these will look much better. See, doing it with those, it'll still look cool, but it'll look like a toy. If you want to do it where it's going to look like a model, you can actually use the water slide decals. And let me see, it looks like, I'm trying to see, yes, they do have some of them, the windows that are going to be lit. And if you want, you can do the ones where all the windows are going to be off. Again, we got the I.S.S. Enterprise. We got the markings for the sides of the tops and of the primary hull. And you can see Enterprise, as well as the I.S.S. Enterprise, the Constellation, the Defiant, and the Exeter. So this is really cool. And you can see what's going to go on the side of the nacelles. So I love the options. You guys remember AMT was one of the first. I mean, this is really fun in the back in the day for the car parts and the kits that you could do like 3 different versions. And I love that Round 2 did this with the Enterprise. So lastly, we've got the instructions. And this is for model kit 4200 from Polar Lights. Like I said, this is the original release. So when we open it up, you can see we have different assembly models. different assembly steps for the different versions of the ship you're going to build. See, before we do that, we're going to take a look at this section, because you can see that it shows Space to Final Frontier, like what was on the back of the box. This kit provides stickers for the modeler who is not comfortable with the water slide decals. If you do not wish to apply every detail, simply apply only the larger element of the sticker sheet. So that's a really good option. And the painting suggestions: it is not necessary to paint this model kit to complete it. For the desired effect, if you wish a more realistic look, you can use the suggestions below, and you can see the painting key, the painting guide. We've got light ghost gray, dark ghost gray, gunship gray, stoplight red metallic, copper, red, chrome silver, clear red, and clear green. So again, this is 2002, so it's over 20 years, 22, 23 years ago. So when we take a look at the first step, obviously the first step is going to be universal for all of the ships, with the exception of the bridge. You can do the taller version, or you can do the shorter version. And on the bottom, we have two different sensor domes to choose as well. Whereas the impulse deck is one, and you do have an option for 4-1 as well. So B1, you can see where you would do the different option for depending on what version you want to make. Going over to A2, we're going to start the nacelles. So you can see this version would be the production run. B2, you can see where those antennas are going to protrude through the Bussard collectors for one of the first pilots, and one of the second pilots for the bottom one, the C2. You can see as well, it's a little bit different. It's got different caps in the back. So when we do the final assembly, you can see A3, where we're going to put the deflector dish housing, and we're going to use one of two different deflector dishes. You can see what I was talking about with the V for the nacelle pylons. We're going to put the deflector dish in, and we're going to put the observation deck in. And on the bottom, you can see the varieties you get. One of two different sets of nacelles. The larger deflector dish with the nacelles with the antenna. You know, it'd actually be cool to kind of do all the versions, do all of the nacelles, and kind of interchange them. That would be kind of fun. Maybe we could do that. And going over to the A section, the assembled kit for the production series, how it's going to look. The assembled kit for the first pilot version, and the assembled kit for the second pilot version, or the mirror universe. So those are the steps that we're going to use to build the model. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the steps when it comes to putting the decals or the stickers on, depending which one. So the decal placement, the first one we're going to look at is for the production version. You can see all the different versions that we're going to put on, the stickers or the water slide decals. And it shows you the options as you go along, the bottom of the ship. And lastly, the head-on view and the rear view. Part B would be for the first pilot. You can see the top of the saucer section, and the starboard side you can see the taller bridge, and the bottom of the ship. And lastly, we have the views from head-on and rear. So part C is for the second pilot version. starboard side, the underneath part of the ship. Now when it comes to the side view, they just show one side view, but you would obviously do the same for both sides. At the bottom of the ship, as well as the forward and the leaving view. And lastly, we've got the optional decal placement for the universe, I.S.S. Enterprise. It's just something of the I.S.S. Enterprise I just love so much. You can see the port side, the starboard side, the bottom of the ship, and the front and back views. And those are the instruction sheets. So this kit actually started it all. And they have released a few different versions of this model, but it's basically stayed the same. One of the big differences is that the box doesn't flip open anymore. It actually comes completely off the bottom section. But I just wanted to share this one with you guys. This one is a little bit special because this was the first one. And before this one, we didn't really have a model of the Enterprise. Yes, we had the Revell. There was a Revell version. There was the AMT version, but this one was a little bit smaller, but this one was a lot more accurate to the filming model than the others. So my friends, I hope you enjoyed this little trip down memory lane, and I hope you were entertained by this video. And until my next video, I'll talk to you guys soon.